that beautiful music? We are so blessed to have such great musicians with us and to choose such beautiful music. Thank you so, so much. And another great good morning to y'all. Now, I want to hear a really big good morning back, okay? Good morning. Good morning. There we go. There's that Center for Spiritual Living Energy. I love it. I love it. Now, I'm Colleen DeVries, and I'm a practitioner here at the center, and I am going to welcome you with wholeheartedness, because the way that I have looked at the center for many, many years is it's my spiritual home. And so welcome to the spiritual home of the center of Parker, because here we love each other, we care for each other, and we share the passion that we have for the Center of Spiritual Living and this new faith that we follow and that we live that makes a difference in our lives. We're proud of the tools that we have. We're proud of the classes that we offer. We're proud of the community events that we have, because it's all about transforming ourselves and transforming our community. So we're glad here that you're so with us to do that. So we have this mission here today, in that we all have prayed to serve each other. So as we go through this service, we know it's going to unfold perfectly, absolutely perfectly. So we always like to ask, is anyone here for the first time? If so, yay! Thank you for joining us. We have these wonderful packets to give you, and so in there it has the number one bit of information that I love, and that's our website, right? We've got everything up there. So thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to join us afterwards for some beverages and some food and just some good community spirit. So thank you for coming. So at this moment, we always like to greet each other. And we do it in many, many ways, right? We've learned to do it with a fist bump, with an elbow bump, with a hug, with a hi there, or whatever you're very comfortable with. But please, let's just take a few minutes to greet each other and see the love and the joy in each other this morning.
All right, good morning to all of you. I am Dr. Vern.
Good morning.
Is your name Marie? All right. It is a delight to be with you. It's a delight to have you with us this morning. I got a SOS call this morning around 8 o'clock that we had a couple people ill and that we need somebody to do the prayer and the meditation. So I said, oh yeah, I'll do that. I love doing this. So here we are, and Colleen stepped in, and she also always brings such a bountiful amount of food so we can enjoy that after the service. The first reading I have for you is from a book by Cheryl Richardson called Stand Up for Your Life. And if you want a good book that's fun to read, that has pages where you can fill in blanks and do exercises, this is your book. I decided a long time ago if I had a choice of 25 books to take to a deserted island, this would be one of them. So that's what I think of this book. So Cheryl Richardson says, you have deep within you the power to fulfill your highest visions of your life. To engage this power, you must develop a solid personal relationship with yourself. By doing so, you'll tap into a wealth of inner strength that will allow you to take the necessary actions that build confidence and self-esteem. When you learn to stop hiding your power and use fear to your advantage, you'll become less attached to what others want for you and more attached to what you want for yourself. As this shift occurs, you'll naturally begin to lead a more authentic and passionate life. And I was thinking about this, and what Reverend Marilyn's going to be talking about today is those boundaries. And I thought, if we're going to do this, we really need to have these healthy boundaries in place. And I don't have the book. I didn't have time to dig through my bookshelves this morning, but one of my favorite boundary quotes is this: "No is a complete sentence." And now I'd like to lead us in prayer and meditation, please. As we go within, we shift into that realm of the infinite where all things are possible, where we are the engineers of our lives, where we make choices that are indeed our choices, inspired by that inner wisdom that we call intuition, the voice of the divine within. And in this sacred space, I know for each of us that we are led and guided in perfect and wondrous ways. There are no obstacles, only opportunities. And we know in this state that there is no power that does anything to us. The great power that organizes the planets in their perfect evolutions and revolutions, that same presence and power is working in our lives for us. And we cooperate by setting our boundaries of love, of self, love of life, love of others. In this state, we know we have absolute dominion. And from this place of dominion, we create heaven on earth for ourselves, now and always, in all ways. I know that each person here today is blessed, and each person here is a blessing. And I celebrate that. I celebrate you. I celebrate our service today, knowing the perfection of every aspect of it, knowing all of these things to be true. I invite each of you to join me in declaring together, and so it is.
So I just invite you just to go inside and just to take in a deep breath. Feel the comfort of your chair. Feel your feet that are on the floor, just so perfectly rested. For as our bodies rest, so our minds rest. And listen to the beat of your heart. And just put your hand over your heart and feel the constant beat. The beat of life, the beat of joy that God put in you as a human being on this wonderful heaven on earth, with all the knowing, all the power, all the love, all the perfection that each of us is a package of when we take our first breath, and as we take each breath. And just take in another breath, just as deep as you can, and just hold it as long as you can. Hold in the life-giving oxygen of this beautiful, beautiful earth. And just release it. Slowly release it and feel as your arms gently relax to your side and your hands uncurled, just rested there gently on your lap. And you feel your mind is open to hear the message that comes to you from within and comes to you from without in our service today. And now just know that this day unfurls perfectly for each of us. For we are blessed in this day of God's love within, around, and everywhere. And so it is. Gently come back to the room. And now open your hearts and your ears to hear the beautiful sound, the melodic sound of the CSL band.
Say
So it always gives me pleasure to introduce our speaker, and especially this speaker, Reverend Marilyn. I have learned so much from Reverend Marilyn over the years. As a matter of fact, she's the shoulder that CSL Parker stands on. She's the one that had the courage when we were starting to just kind of crumble, right? We needed leadership, we needed spiritual leadership and guidance. And Reverend Marilyn stepped up and she gave that to us. She's the whole one who pulled together and helped us transition into a center for spiritual living, and to take 11 practitioners through all that training to wrap up so that we would be trained practitioners honored to be part of CSL. So I can't say enough about Reverend Marilyn, who I love and give such great gratitude for. Here's Reverend Marilyn.
Woo.
You're on.
You're on.
I'm on. I am so glad to be here with you. I love you guys so much. And thank you, Colleen, for all those wonderful words. And I don't know, some of you may not know that Dr. Vern actually started this church way back 2000, 23 years ago. Boundaries. I've never given a talk on boundaries before. So at first I thought, well, I'm not sure what I'm going to say, but you know, I got to thinking boundaries are really important. And I think that God created us with boundaries, with the idea that, you know, we were created as individuals, individual expressions of God. And so, yeah, we need to know that, you know, this is our space, this is who we are. So it's a great topic. So I learned some things, and I got some opportunities to consider different aspects of this word. A boundary is a dividing line. It says, you know, this is how we identify a space. And I'm either inside a boundary or I'm outside of it. In geography, we think of a boundary defines, you know, this is the state of Colorado, this is the town of Parker, this is the United States. So we have borders that define, and so that's a good thing. When I was a kid, I can remember I had a sister, and sometimes we had to share a bed. And when we did, we would carefully figure out the limits of the bed, and we would decide exactly the middle of the bed, and we'd say, don't cross this line. But invariably, we'd go. I was usually the one who did that because I was pretty ornery, you know? We have to say sometimes, don't cross this line, don't we? These boundaries protect us. They make us feel comfortable. People put up fences around their property. Why do we put up fences around our property line? Well, we have a fence because we want to keep our dogs in and our kids in. And we want to keep other people's dogs and kids out of our yard, right? So sometimes fences are important for us. There's a lot of disputes about boundaries. In neighborhoods, a lot of times people argue and they get violent with each other because they don't agree on boundaries with their neighbors. Countries, lives are being lost. Thousands of lives are being lost in Ukraine right now. We've had many wars over the centuries, over boundaries. That's an issue we need to be concerned about. There are rules about what you can bring in the boundaries of the United States. You can't bring in plants or fruit. They don't want insects coming in to our country, so we set boundaries on what you can bring in the United States. That's a good thing. The state of Minnesota has an interesting law. You cannot cross the boundary into the state of Minnesota with a duck on your head. That's the law. Wisconsin has a similar law, and in their law, you also can't come in, cross their boundary line with a chicken on your head. That's the law. That's their boundary. That's the rules. Of course, that brings us to the age-old question that we've asked ourselves for so many years. Why did the chicken cross the road? Was the chicken wanting to extend its boundary going across a border? Why did the chicken cross the road? Well, Captain Kirk from Star Trek says the chicken crossed the road to go where no chicken has ever gone before. So I'm thinking, with ourselves, sometimes we've set limits on our boundaries, like I can only go so far in life. And sometimes we need to cross that boundary and say, yeah, I'm going to go boldly where I've never gone before. So you see, boundaries can either limit us or they can protect us. So our task is to create healthy boundaries. Boundaries can keep us out or let us in. I've been thinking that the first item in history that we've read about boundaries was when God kicked out God kicked out Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden. And so I'm wondering, did God put up a fence around the garden to keep Adam and Eve out? I don't know. Nobody will ever be able to tell us. So in our relationships, we need to say, this is my space. This is my space. You had to decide when you sat down, am I comfortable? Your chairs are sitting somewhat close together, but I noticed that they're a few inches apart. We're not really comfortable when we're sitting too close, standing too close to other people. When you're in line to buy tickets or something, you get a little space, or in the grocery store, you get a little space because that's your comfort zone, and that's healthy, isn't it? In the pandemic, remember we were supposed to have 6 feet apart, and the stores had markers so that you'd make sure you didn't get too close. Don't cross this line, we say. Don't cross this line. Don't go there. We say, I've got these boundaries. Don't take my stuff. Don't touch me there. Don't talk to me that way. I have my boundary here, If you're going to have a relationship with me, respect my boundaries. Like the song, R-E-S-P-E-C-T, respect. Good, I love that song. Respect me, respect my boundaries. But sometimes it's hard to set boundaries, and sometimes we just don't, and I wonder why that is. So I got to thinking, what was it like when you were born? You had no boundaries as a baby. Before birth, your boundary was, a wonderful, warm place where all your needs were met. You were safe in the womb. And then all of a sudden you were thrust out into this cold, scary world. And people would pick you up. Strangers, people you didn't know would pick you up. They would move you to a place that they thought you ought to sleep. They'd tell you when you had to eat, and they'd decide what you had to eat. They go coochie coochie coo, and they talk baby talk to you. You had no control over. Shut up, leave me alone. You had no boundaries as a baby. You had to just put up with whatever people decide to do with you. When you became about 2 years old, you learned a very important word, no. And a lot of parents don't realize that no is the word that children need at that age to be able to learn about boundaries. Time to take your bath. No. Eat your vegetables. No. Mommy and Daddy didn't like that. Can you remember being with a 2-year-old and the no was just driving you nuts? A child needs to go through that stage. But what happens to many children, you know, they learn that Mommy and Daddy get mad, and sometimes they get spanked, and sometimes they get rejected, and maybe the child begins to think, well, it's not safe to set a boundary. It's not safe to say no. Mommy might not love me, or I might get hurt if I set a boundary. So what does that teach us? To just let people do to us whatever they choose? I used to have an Annie Fran. Maybe some of you had an Annie Fran. When we go visit Annie Fran, she would grab me with her big bony arms and squeeze me. Give me some sugar, she'd say. Get her bad breath in my face, and it was horrible. It hurt me when she squeezed me. I had no say. I was simply grabbed, had no boundary, I had no way to say as a little girl, I don't like Annie Fran to hug me. Give me some sugar. How many of you had an Annie Fran in your life? Some of you. We don't just go to children and pick them up. We say, would you like a hug? And if they say no, we respect that boundary. That's what we've learned today. We don't even go to adults and grab them. We see, do they have open arms, like they're ready to hug us? Or are they saying, you know, this is how I want to express my love for you? We respect when people want to say, don't touch me. That's a healthy boundary. As Vern said, no is a complete sentence. And we need to have the strength, the courage, the knowing within us that we can say hell no and mean no. We can say hell yes and when we mean yes. God gave you a voice. God gave you the power, the strength, and the wisdom to know when to say enough. So some people have learned from childhood, it's not safe to say no, it's not safe to set a boundary. And so what do? When people intrude on our boundaries, we do nothing. We're a doormat. We do nothing. But then we get angry. We get angry with ourselves. I should have said no. Why did I say yes when I really didn't want to do that?
Trying to be nice.
Trying to be nice? Why are we trying to be nice?
Because we're afraid of standing up.
We're afraid of standing up. We're afraid that we might not be loved, that we're not okay. We don't feel worthy. We don't feel that it's okay for us. But you are worthy. We need to know that we're valuable. Well, on the other hand, some people react, you violate my boundary. Some people explode. They perceive that this was intentionally done. They take it personally. Recently, I've been rereading that wonderful book, The Four Agreements. How many of you read that? Quite a few of you. So the two agreements that stand out for me in this discussion is, one, don't make assumptions, and two, don't take anything personally. That don't take anything personally was transformational for me personally. Because when people say things or do things, if we take it personally, we're misinterpreting, we're thinking it's all about me. And the author Ruiz says, we each have our own story. I see myself as the center of the universe. I'm the center of my world. You're the center of your world. You have your story, I have my story about how life is. And if your story intrudes on my story, I need to think, wait a minute, this is not my story, it's your story. If you say something that I interpret as being offensive, it's not about me, it's your story. She said I was stupid. Boy, that's hurtful, isn't it? But wait a minute. She said I'm stupid. Maybe she's having a bad day and she's feeling stupid, so she projects on me because I made a mistake. I made a mistake. It was a stupid mistake, but I'm not stupid. I was created in the image and likeness of God with the wisdom and intelligence, the creativity of spirit is within me. The mind of God operates in and through my mind. When I'm disconnected from my source, I sometimes make stupid mistakes, but I'm not stupid. That's her story. When somebody says something that makes me feel bad or insulted, I gotta stop and say, hey, wait a minute, not my story. Not my story, her story. You say that anytime you feel insulted, anytime you're trying, your subconscious or your mind wants to say, you know, that was offensive. Not my story. Can you say that? Not my story. Their story. I am a whole, perfect, complete child of God, just the way I am. Even when I make mistakes, I am a whole, perfect, complete child of God, and you are too. You have permission to make mistakes. That doesn't change the wonder that you are, the God essence that created you, whole, perfect, and complete. So there's a better way than taking things personally. There's a better way than being a doormat. There's building a bridge. There's connecting with the other person and saying, hey, wait a minute, you know, let me share my story and let me hear your story. And let's see how we can understand each other and respect each other's boundaries. We talk. We communicate. That's a better way. That's a better way. So I invite you to be aware of your story. To know that your story is that you were created in the image and likeness of God. Whole, perfect, complete. You are whole, perfect, and complete, just the way you are. Just the way you are. Got a zit on your nose today? Make a stupid mistake? Accidentally cut somebody off in traffic? You know, people have been killed in road rage. Because they think, that guy cut me off because he had it in for me personally. I'm going to give him one of my fingers. Or better yet, I'm going to get out my Smith & Wesson. You know, people have been shot over road rage because they took it personally. So what do we say? Not my story? Not my story. Their story. Their story. They made a stupid mistake when they cut you off in traffic. Don't take it personally. It's not about you. So I invite you to have two statements that you can keep in your pocket. One is not my story, and the other is I am a whole, perfect, complete child of God. And I always add this, just the way I am. So that way when I'm less than I would like to be, when I feel like I've made a mistake or something, I know the truth of me, the core of me, the core of you is whole, perfect, and complete because that's how you were created. That's who you are. So my boundary is fluid. My boundary embraces you. My boundary allows me to say no. My boundary allows me to bridge to your boundary because there's love between us, because we respect each other, because we know who we are and we know whose we are. So you can value yourself because you know who you are. You know whose you are. You can have loving relationships by just being authentic, by being honest. This doesn't feel right. This is how we can better communicate. See? We are all one in spirit. God is within each one of us, and our God self wants to be respected. So we respect each other, and at the same time we respect ourselves. Your story is valid. My story is valid. So we share our stories, and build bridges together. Draw a line in the sand. But sand's not permanent. Sand can be moved, can it? We can move, we can be flexible, we can find divine love in our relationships, healthy boundaries. So let's build bridges together. Now let's go inside and just have a few moments of prayer. So as we go within, I just invite you to put your hands on your heart, and as you do that, just feel divine love surging through your body, through your being, through your heart, through your mind. And feel a sense of a comfort, almost like a warm womb, a comfort wrapped around you, and just feel the love of God, power of God, the strength of God just surrounding you, hugging you, protecting you, supporting you. Remembering that you were created of the very essence of God. You were created as a unique individual expression of God. You are one with everyone in this room, with everyone in our world. And yet you have your unique self. your unique God self, has the right to create the boundary that feels comfortable to you. There is a power within you that guides you and protects you with those boundaries and allows them to be fluid so that you can experience deep love from other people, from the world, knowing that you are safe. And it's easy for you to say, not my story, because you know that you were created with the image and likeness of God, whole, perfect, and complete, just the way you are. You are whole, perfect, and complete, a beloved child of God, just the way you are. I give thanks because I know this is true of you. And so I invite you to say after me, and so it is, and so I am, and so we are.
And so we are.
Amen.
Amen.
We've done this one before, and it's called May I Be Filled with Loving Kindness. So, there's 4 verses here. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy. And then what comes next? Do you remember?
May you.
May you. Okay, now look, there's 4 lines in that, right? May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. And may you be happy. So you can actually give a blessing to 4 different people. I want to see that happen this week. I know we're stretching a little bit here. All right, then may we be filled with loving kindness. That's for us all. And the last one is an affirmation. I am filled with loving kindness. Okay? All right. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy. Bless your neighbors.
And now it is time for our offering. And know that everything that is willingly given, whether it's time, talent, or offerings, it all comes back to you. Many times, many times over, as this world is filled with abundance for us, as much as we're willing to receive. And that you give, and every gift that you give deepens your connection to the divine source. It's that divine source of infinite prosperity. So at this time, I welcome you to take your gift in hand, or if you've already given it electronically, just put your hand over your heart and repeat this with me. I give this gift for you.
I give this gift for you.
I give this gift for me.
I give this gift for me.
Knowing that as I give,
Knowing that as I give,
so shall I receive.
so shall I receive.
And here we declare together, and so it is.
So it is.
Amen.
So Reverend Marilyn talked about boundaries, and here I'm going to sing a song about on a clear day you can see forever. Seems kind of wrong, right? But oh well, here we are, going with the flow, reminding ourselves that we are perfect just as we are, even picking a song that seems to go completely against the top. Oh well. On a clear day, rise and look around you, and you'll see who you are. On a clear day, how it will astound you that the glow of your being
first time I've ever just wanted to dance up just to bless our offerings here. Irene, we're just dancing here because we are celebrating the beautiful gift of music. Oh, I love it. It just does my heart so good. And thank you to everyone, and thank you for all these offerings. For God is the eternal gift to us, and so we, as a Center of Spiritual Living Parker, give our gifts to the community, to the world, and to each other. And we thank you. We give great thanks for the abundance that is shared today, to give us the support for our great carrying on in the workings of the love of this community and each other. So join me in this blessing in saying, and so it is. Amen.
All right, last little bit here. Are you finished? I'm sorry.
I'm going to say just a couple more things.
Apologize. You go right ahead.
I just can't give up that mic on. I just want to say thank you to our guest speaker, to Reverend Marilyn. We love you so much. I need to have my dog hear that, though, because she just decided she had no boundaries the other day. I had two beautiful prime ribs on the counter in the kitchen, and my puppy, 8 years old, she said, one of them's mine. And I didn't get the no out fast enough. So thank you, because we are perfect, whole, and complete, all of us. And today, I just want to thank everyone. I want to thank our practitioners. If you see us wearing a gold shawl here, it's because here we are to serve. And we offer time for prayer. After our service, we just go over in that area, we get comfy, because prayer and affirmative prayer is all about saying thanks for the good. We don't have to pray just because we've got a concern. It always helps, right? We're there to be your prayer partner. But remember, we're here to celebrate with you too. So if you see us with our stoles and you say, you know what, I had something cool this week, and I just want to join in a spiritual session to say thank you. Or you've got a daughter that you know she wants you to pray for her. Bring us in, and we'll pray with you for your family. And even, I may need to have a prayer for my puppy today, because she's going beyond those boundaries. And then I just want to say once again, thank you, of course, to our CSL Parker Band. And for all the love and the gifts and this beautiful altar. I don't know if you notice sometimes, but sometimes I'm hearing the message, but I need my eyes to just rest on something beautiful. So thank you for preparing this altar for us to rest our eyes and drink in that beauty. And remember, we've got refreshments, we've got coffee, water, and everything else, and some munchies over there. And so please, do join us. And now, let us close with a benediction. In prayer together, we bring in the energy of God. We emit the energy of God, the light that is within us, and the light that surrounds us, and the perfect story that each of us has as we are perfect, whole, and complete. We know that we carry on out these doors and into our week, sharing our love, sharing our passion, sharing our gratitude with and for everyone, and for the truth that each of us is on a spiritual path to reaffirm. And so with this, I close with great blessings to all, for all, and from all. So please join me in saying, and so it is.
All right, and now my turn. Okay. All right. So before we sing this song, you all know Alan, right?
Yes.
And you all know me. And some of you who've been very observant and have had your coffee may realize that DJ looks a little different today. Yes. That's because today he is actually BK. And he did an amazing job. Please give him a hand. We're so grateful that he came and stood here. And now, we're going to stand up and we're going to hold hands if we want to. We're going to send all that good juju back out into the world by singing the peace song together.